All right, guys, today is July 1st, and that means we are officially 30 days clean and sober. 30 days sober for the first time in 9 years. It's really been only the last 4 years or 5 years that we've been trying to get to 30 days just to prove to myself that I could, right? And plenty of times, at least 10 different times, I get 2 weeks was usually the marker. Go 2 weeks, a couple times, 3 weeks, got like 21, 23 days, got real close. And then something happened that triggered me. I got some bad news, or I was trying to do something and it fell through. And I used that as the excuse to return back to substance use. And when I say substance use, the last few years, guys, it's really only been smoking weed, a daily chronic pot smoker, and alcohol, usually just beer, some mixed drinks, wine, stuff like that. But so at the end of the day, guys, realistically, the only thing I was really doing was smoking weed and drinking and shit. But, I have a long history of more severe substance abuse. So I just wanted to make an update, a 1 month progress update, kind of share where my thoughts are at. This is going to be a longer video for YouTube, obviously, if you're watching on Instagram, Facebook, full video on YouTube. And yeah, guys, 30 days sober today, man. 30 days sober. And I haven't really had that breakthrough. I talked about on another video how a few times in the past when I went 2-3 weeks, I started getting like this pink cloud feeling. I started getting I started sleeping better. I started feeling better mentally, developing this sense of clarity. And that hasn't hit yet this time around, oddly enough. My sleep has been shit the last couple weeks. At first I couldn't fall asleep. And I still, I'm having trouble falling asleep. But worse is that I can't stay asleep. I only sleep like 4 or 5 hours the last 2 weeks in a row. I haven't gotten more than 6-7 hours in 2+ weeks, and I've been working almost every day. I've been on the grind doing this 90-day money run, and I'm working 6-7 days a week, just staying busy, staying active. But yeah, guys, my drug career, I guess you call it that, I always had bad anxiety. I always had tics, like these weird tics and these weird anxiety things. When I was younger, 9, 10, 11 years old, I used to have what I called the choking disease. I used to not be able to swallow whole foods for a week at a time, and then it would just go away. And I would just be on a liquid diet, essentially, like milkshakes and yogurt and anything that wasn't something that I had to chew and swallow. I went to a doctor for it at one point, and then it kind of just went away, shit like that, weird anxiety things. And then, guys, the first time I smoked weed, I didn't get high, actually. But when I finally smoked and I actually got high from it, it was my mind was blown. It was I was hooked from the beginning, because it just washed away all my anxiety, and it just made me feel better, It made me feel better, and it was an escape, and it was, it cured my anxiety in the beginning, It made me more social around my friends. It allowed me to, not have that social anxiety. And it was, I fell in love with it from the beginning, Then I'd be at work, 17 years old, 18 years old, and I just couldn't wait to get out of work to go get high with my friends. And that was the goal of the day, was to get high, That was what I was prioritizing, was getting high. That was what I was looking forward to, And so I became, very quickly I became a daily user, was smoking weed every day. And then my lung collapsed. So they say I have asthma, but I had a spontaneous pneumothorax. My lung collapsed when I was 18, 19, a year or two into my weed smoking, right? I had some health issues back then. My appendix burst. I had my wisdom teeth out and they got infected. I had some health things. I had to have a cold. My stomach was all fucked up. From the antibiotic they gave me, fucked my whole system up. I had C. diff. I had to get a colonoscopy at 18. I had all these health problems. And my lung collapsed, and they told me you can't smoke anymore, basically. And at this time, I had already started taking some Klonopins here and there. My buddy had the Klonopin script, and I had taken a few for anxiety, and that was the real game changer for solving the anxiety problem. The benzos, really, really helped. It was the only thing that helped, right? So when my lung collapsed and they told me that I couldn't smoke, I was like, fuck, I need something. I remember telling my mother, we were in the thing, I was like, I need something. So I started going to doctors and getting scripts for Xanax and Klonopin, right? And so I became a benzo addict after that. I became I had a prescription for Xanax and Klonopin, and then, you know, when my prescription would run out, obviously I'd be abusing them and run out early every time. And then, you know, all my friends that had them, we'd be trading pills and shit, you know, buying pills off each other, selling our pills to each other, and then, you know, searching for them on the street when you'd run out of the scripts. Who's got the scripts? Who's got the Xanax scripts? Who's got the fucking the bars, the 2 milligram bars, the milligram footballs? You know, who's got the 2 milligram Klonopin pies? Who's got the best script? Whose doctor's hooking it up? You know. And at this point, I'm not really smoking much weed and shit. But I worked at this alarm company selling alarm systems, and it was kind of like, you know, picture the Wolf of Wall Street, but like on a, you know, a low local level. It was like that, you know. It was a lot of camaraderie. It was great place, great time actually. You know, I was cool. Hundreds of people came through the revolving door over the course of the few years I worked there. But there was that core, like the 25 people that, you know, were the best salesmen, and that, like, you know, were there consistently. And it was a tight-knit group of people, you know. We all had a lot of fun. You know, was making some decent money at a young age, but there was a lot of drug use involved, you know. A lot of people smoking weed, a lot of people drinking, a lot of people doing cocaine. The first time I did cocaine was at the Christmas party at that place, the Alliance Security Christmas party. And so I started dabbling in cocaine and Molly. One of the girls there sold coke and sold Molly and shit. One of the OG sales reps there, she actually got me the job there. I was an opener for her at this other place, and then she got me a job there as a closer. And she was fucking cool people, but she sold coke and Molly, so we was doing that and shit. And then one night, one day at work, this dude came out of the bathroom, this kid Lewis, and he looked all fucked up and high and shit. I was walking down the stairs, he was coming up. I was like, damn, bro, you fucked up. Like, what you fucking snorting that fucking white shit? And he was like, nah, that brown shit. I was like, word? I was like, what the fuck is that? He's like, fucking heroin, dope. And I don't even remember my first time doing it, but I started fucking snorting heroin at some point. And talk about anxiety relief, that was the one now, you know, that was the one, you know, warm blanket, anxiety just wash away, you sniff a line of fucking dope, and you're just not having anxiety, right? You're just fucking catching that nod, catching Z's, and just fucking, that was my new drug of choice, fucking heroin, right? And I never in a million years, a couple years ago, did I think I'd ever be doing fucking heroin. And, you know, everyone paints it as like this evil thing, like heroin, like fucking, you know what I mean? When you're growing up, like, you never think you're going to be doing fucking, like, you might smoke weed is one thing, but doing heroin, what the fuck? But once you do it, and you do it a couple times, and, you know, I thought I was a doctor, right? Like, I never thought I was at risk of an overdose or anything, because I'd always be very methodical. I was always very methodical with my sizing, you know, with the lines I chop up and shit, and I thought I was like a doctor. And if I had scripts for Xanax and shit, like I said, Klonopin, and I knew that was a deadly combo, you know. That's a lot of overdoses from mixing benzos and opiates or alcohol. So I'd always make sure, you know, I'd try to time out when I took the pills and shit. You know, I thought I was a fucking doctor, you know. But that was my new shit. And then, you know, when that was expensive as fuck, and then we had the Oxys, the Oxy 30s, the M30s, the A215s, the blues. You know what I mean? I was on that type of time when I did the heroin thing for like, I remember I had like 3,500, 4,000 saved from working, right? Because I was starting to get in legal trouble too. Like, I got arrested a bunch of times, fucking a bunch of different charges, possession charges, fucking larceny, fucking a Grand Theft Auto, like a bunch of dumb shit, just drug-fueled dumb shit, and gambling / drug-fueled reckless behavior landed me in some fucking legal trouble and shit. So at some point I was like on home confinement. I was in a drug court program. And so at some point in there, I did get sober for like a month or two, and I was working, stacking up. I saved up like $3-4 grand in a month or two. And then, you know, was doing the heroin. I remember I had $100 a day habit. I was getting a gram of heroin a day. And these fucking black kids with face tattoos from the hood fucking would pull up at my house in the suburbs, and I'd be going to their house, you know what I mean, and fucking giving them the money and shit. I was spending $100 a day at minimum. And I remember that fucking 3,500 went in like 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like less than a month. And I was broke again, strung out, all fucked up. You know, I went to a couple rehabs and detoxes and shit along the way. And, you know, I guess they helped. They never like fully worked. Like I didn't go to the rehab and then stop for good. But they probably started planting the seeds in my head. You know what I mean? Whether it was the 12-step seeds or, you know, just getting you to take an introspective look at yourself and, you know, really try to understand why we're using these substances to try to escape ourselves and, you know, escape reality and shit. That fucking stupid ass fucking lawnmower, that stupid ass fucking weed whacker. What is that? It's not even a weed, fucking blower. Shut the fuck up. I feel like Wes Watson in that video when he fucking yelling at the fucking landscaper. He's ruining my video. He's fuck. So yeah, the rehabs and the detoxes, they never fully stuck, like they never took, but I think they helped plant the seeds along the way, you know? And then eventually I stopped. I found a way to stop. Basically how I ended up quitting the heroin and the oxys, I cold turkeyed the shit. My best friend, Mason at the time, we had a rap group together, Four Eyes. I'd be at his house every day. He'd have the studio in the crib. We'd be working, hanging out. But, you know, we were he was like my older brother. But we also, you know, did a lot of drugs. We do drugs together. We smoke weed every time. We drink, you know what I mean? And then he's the one who started fucking breaking me off with the benzos in the beginning and putting me on that. And then when I was fucking doing the heroin and shit, I thought I was being a good friend, breaking him off lines. You know, I'd break him off a line like he was not getting him doing the shit, right? And I think he already had a history with it, but I'm not really even sure. But we're sharing our drugs with each other, thinking that's, you know, that's my boy. Here, go, good looking out, you know? Long story short, he ends up fucking dying from a drug overdose. Fucking, I don't even know what happened that night. I wasn't there. I was supposed to be at his house that day. Long story short, he was found in the basement, fucking overdose, dead. And that was like a big wake-up call for me, you know what I mean? That was like the reality checker, like, oh shit, this shit is bad. Like, this could lead to me fucking dying. Like, your best friend just fucking died. Like, this is fucked up. So that really was what, you know, the blow that kind of like woke me up. And then, and even from there, I didn't fully quit. But again, it started planting the seeds, and it really was a big wake-up call. You know, and eventually, not too long after that, I stopped, and I just cold turkeyed it. Like I said, guys, I was weaning myself off, and I don't remember the timeline of the benzos and shit. I remember the benzos. I was weaning myself off from 5 milligrams, 2 milligrams, 1 milligram, half a milligram, quarter milligram. You know what I mean? I couldn't leave the house without at least something in my pocket, that security blanket. And I weaned myself off, and I remember the dope detox was just like a week of like laying in bed, cold sweats, fucking brain zaps. I was like getting jolted out of bed when I was trying to fucking rest, just like being sick. Honestly, the heroin withdrawal wasn't even as bad as the benzo withdrawal, because the heroin withdrawal lasted like a week, maybe 2 weeks, right? And then it was basically over and just psychological at that point. The benzo withdrawal, you know, post-acute withdrawal symptoms, went on for like a year or two. Like, I was feeling fucking crazy for a while there. Like, talk about bad anxiety. Like, you think your anxiety is bad before taking the benzos. If you ever stop, I got friends that still take them for a decade plus, and no intention of stopping. They can't even picture themselves off of them. But I didn't want to be dependent on anything. I hate being dependent on something. So I weaned myself off, and I stopped that. And, you know, the withdrawal fucking sucked. After that, you know, I tried to smoke some weed. I take multiple times, I took 2 hits off a bowl and called 911 on myself, because I was having the craziest anxiety, like thinking I was dying, even though I knew it was anxiety. Like, I'm in the ambulance telling the dude, like, yo, I know it's anxiety, but like, I can't, I feel so fucking, like, I feel like I'm dying. I don't know how to describe it. I feel so crazy, right? And, yeah, that shit sucked. A handful of times I called 911 on myself. One time I took an edible at the gym, had the fucking ambulance pull up to the gym, like, just straight tweaking. And then, you know, I got sober when I was 24 going on 25. So halfway through 24, I got fully sober, and I did 8 months fully sober and clean. And that's why I'm saying this is my first time getting 30 days since then, 8 to 9 years ago, right? When I was 24, 25, 33 now. And I did like the first 50 days. I just like was white knuckling it. It was just me. And then I started going to NA meetings, right? The 12-step shit. And, you know, that was cool. You know, I found a little fellowship, a couple good group of guys, had a sponsor, was starting to do some step work and shit. And then, you know, one day I wanted a glass of wine. I hit up my sponsor, and I'm like, yo, I want a glass of wine. Like, what do you think? And he was like, I think you should drop to your knees and pray. And I was already starting to think like this whole NA shit is like a cult, this 12-step shit. Like, you know what I mean? They're fucking brainwashed. It's a cult. And so that was just like, whatever. Dude, I want a glass of wine, a half a glass of wine. He's telling me to fucking drop to my knees and pray. This guy's a fucking nut job. Fuck this guy. I'm going to drink the fucking wine, right? So I got the wine, and maybe I drank the wine that night. Then nothing happened the next day. I started hanging out with this girl. We started smoking weed. Just innocent. Take a few hits. Got high as fuck. You know what I mean? Then maybe took a day. Maybe a day later, day and a half later, 2 days later, smoke again, you know? And slowly but surely, eventually I snowballed back into full-blown every day, all day, you know what I mean? And like I said, since from then to now, this is the first time I've been able to string together 30 days in a row, completely not a hit of weed, not a fucking drink, not a pill, nothing, right? And And that, you know, I say it was mostly weed and beer, but there were little strings in there. I'm 27, 28. I had fucking met this kid at Foxwoods, and he was a cocaine addict. He ended up overdosing, dying too. He was shooting cocaine. He had tons of benzo scripts. And I was fucking snorting coke and doing coke with him for a few weeks on end. I remember one fucking weekend, my nose was bleeding. I was doing it in Connecticut. I came back to Rhode Island with my other boys. We were playing a home game. We got coke in Rhode Island. We got coke in Mass. I was doing it like 4 days in a row. My nose is bleeding. I'm still doing it. That's 28. You know what I mean? Then a handful of times I was working in Florida. We would for Serve Pro when the hurricane hit. We were down there, and one of the houses we were in that got evacuated had a medicine cabinet full of fucking oxys and Xanax. So the dude took the oxys. He gave me the fucking full month script of Xanax. It was like 40 milligrams of Xanax. I took that shit. I used them for a month, and then when I was done, I was like, oh, fuck, like. As soon as I ran out, like the first week or two, I felt how negative my brain was, how my chemistry was all off, and I was like, nah, like I got people, I know people that get scripts. I could have hit someone up, but I was like, nah, I don't want to beat it. I'm not getting addicted again. You know what I mean? Fuck that. So I had little bouts here and there of like dabbling and shit, but I always was able to stop. The coke, I stopped. The Xanax and Klonopin, every now and then I'd hit up a person with a script, get like 4 milligrams every like 4 months, 9 months, whatever, randomly here and there, and I'd do them for a few days, and then I'd stop. Don't want to be addicted to anything. But the one, and you know, alcohol, I never really had a crazy problem with alcohol. You know, I drink. I'd always, if I'm gambling, I'm drinking. You know what I mean? If I'm smoking weed, I'm having a couple of beers, few beers. You know what I mean? But it was never like, it wasn't alcohol first. You know, my shit was always smoking weed. Weed was my first love. So alcohol was always in the mix, but I was never an alcoholic. You know, I could always take it or leave it. Usually I take it, you know what I mean, if I'm fucking, you know, out and whatever, hanging out, but weed was my shit. So for the main thing, guys, I was smoking weed almost every day, you know, for the last fucking decade. Forget about the collapsed lung. Healed, I guess, because my lungs are strong. I'm fucking strong, and you know what I mean? I fucking got good set of lungs, I think, but, yeah, just couldn't stop smoking weed, and that pissed me off, because, you know, at the end of the day, I told myself, you know what I mean? And like at the end of the day, like you're doing fucking heroin, cocaine, Molly, fucking oxy, Xanax, all this other shit. If the worst thing you're doing these days is you're still working, you got a crippling gambling addiction. Somewhere along the line, I replaced hardcore drugs with hardcore gambling addiction, right? And that's why for so long I stayed stuck in a vicious loop of blowing all my money, blowing every $1,000 I make, fucking because I didn't have that other drug of choice. You know, I was smoking weed, but I wasn't doing hard drugs. I replaced hard drugs with hardcore fucking gambling. And I might as well have been doing heroin, because it was the same results. It was the same mental torture. It was the same destruction, the same wake of chaos in my path, the same ruined relationships. I was a gambling addict, was no different than being a drug addict for a long time, right? And thankfully now, hopefully I'm finally breaking out of that and finding a way to manage and keep poker in my life in a way that makes sense and helps me rather than hurts me and gives me that outlet. But fuck, what was I saying? So the weed, I'd try to stop. I'd always try to stop, like, damn, because I'd hate, you know, eventually you get to the point you're smoking every day, all day, smoking an eighth a day. It's like you don't even get high. You get high for like 10 minutes. And then I have asthma, so my sinuses would always be fucked up, facial pressure, sinus pressure. So I just wanted to fucking, and again, I don't want to be dependent on anything, right? So I want to stop. And I'd try to stop, maybe go 2 days, 3 days, and then I'd quit. I'd go back to smoking weed. Maybe I go a week, I go back to smoking weed. And it was a vicious cycle for a few years there, because like I wanted to stop, but either couldn't, was unable to, or unwilling, or just the pain of stopping at the time versus the pleasure of just saying, fuck it, let me just get high, I want this relief. The pleasure outweighed the pain, you know, or the pain out, whatever. Like I couldn't stop, and you know, when I'd go 2 weeks without smoking, I'd feel better. Usually, I'd save more money. I'd be more, you know, I'd physically feel better, mentally feel better, and then again, something would, you know, I would just break. I would break, and I would go back, and then try to moderate, and I never could, and I would always snowball back into everyday daily use. And then I would start to fucking hate myself, because like, what the fuck? Why can't I stop? Like, why am I going back to the shit? Like, I'm fucking up the money. I'm fucking everything up. Fuck. I don't want to be dependent on anything. And I just couldn't, it just fucking wouldn't stick. I just couldn't get it to stick. So now it's finally stuck. 30 days sober. And I don't even feel that great. Like, I'm proud of myself. It's a great accomplishment. But, and I might go back to smoking weed. I don't know. Like I said on another video, like, I mean, I don't know. Even when I'm smoking weed, I still, you know, I've had jobs where we're smoking weed at 5 a.m. at the moving company, like still going to work 6 days a week, making $1,500 a week. You know what I mean? Like I can still function, but I don't know what I'm going to do from here, guys, but I am proud of myself, you know? 30 for me, to some of you, it's like, oh, you went 30 days, we don't fucking, oh, good job. You want a pat on the back? You fucking drug addict? Like, you do what you should be doing anyways? Okay, well, people that have dealt with addiction and battled addiction, you guys know that, you know, a month sober is a big deal. If you've lived like I live and you have the brain chemistry and think how I think and, you know, have gone through these cycles like I've gone through them for a fucking decade plus. But anyways, I just wanted to share my thoughts on this and give you guys a little backstory and shit on me. So we're going to keep hustling, keep grinding hard. We're almost at $10,000 saved in like a month and a half, a little over a month, not even. And we're just trying to, I'm just waiting for that pink cloud to come back, and I'm waiting for that breakthrough because I got to be close, you know? So I'm going to keep trudging through and sticking through until, and see what happens, you know what I mean? Let the fucking universe mold me and fucking, you know, let the hand of infinite intelligence come down and fucking zap my brain, and we'll see where this journey takes us, guys, you know? So if you're struggling right now, if you feel like you can't get it together, if you might be 20, 25, 30, 40, guys, it's never too late. Like, you just got to really want it. You just got to really lock in. You got to really want it. You got to really want to stop. And you got to have something bigger that's driving you, right? You can't just, like, it can't be just go to work every day. Like, I'm going to work every day to save up money to chase music, chase poker, do things that I want to do that, you know, fulfill me and bring me, that challenge me and that I enjoy, right? That I love, that I'm passionate about. You got to have a bigger purpose, guys. You can't just like live day to day. The monotony will fucking kill you and eat you alive. And especially if you're working dead end jobs and you're struggling and you got no money, like, you're going to run to the drugs and the alcohol and the vices to try to escape. But just know that no matter how down bad you are, guys, I was down bad a month and a half ago. I was fucked up bad, mentally, physically, financially, everything. And now I'm all right. I'm doing all right. I'm doing better than most, probably, right? Doing better than most people maybe watching this. Don't got $800 saved up. I got $8,000 saved up. It's not about the money, but the money stacking up is a byproduct of me staying focused, staying locked in, and staying sober, probably. For me, staying sober is huge because I'm a poker player, and it's really easy to tilt off and get emotionally unhinged, especially you have 1 or 2 beers, you think it's not affecting you, you smoke weed, you think you're more locked in. But for me, I'm more impulsive, I'm less logical and rational, I'm less able to control my impulses. So that little bit of, I say I don't feel too much different between being stoned and being sober for 30 days, but that little bit of difference has kept me from going broke, probably. And so I don't want to ever go broke again. So I'm going to stay sober for now. But the whole thing is, guys, if you're struggling right now, if you're like at rock bottom, if you're thinking you could never quit, this is just how you are, you're an addict, fuck. Just give yourself some time, guys. Some things take longer than others, you know? Sometimes you gotta go through more pain. You gotta go through more desperation, more hopelessness, more fucked up shit till it finally fucking clicks and sinks in and you're able to make that mindset shift and really make that change and have it stick. But, you know, you guys out there, believe in yourself. You could do anything you put your mind to. Is addiction a disease? Is it a choice? I don't know. You know, I've been on both sides of the fences. I don't know what it is, but I know that you're more powerful. Us as human beings, we're more powerful than we know. We're more powerful than we know. And there's really no limitations. The only limitations are the ones that you set on yourself, right? There's no box to be put in. Like, we're powerful beings. And you could rise above any circumstances and you can overcome any past failures, and that it doesn't matter, you know, how low you've been, like how fucked up shit seems. Tomorrow's a new day. Next month, next year, you don't know what this life's gonna bring. You just gotta hang in there. You gotta hang in there, and you gotta keep trying, never give up. And yeah. All right, I gotta go to work. That's it. Salute.